Hello all and welcome to my page. I'm Marcus Cash. Um Down below you will see my media handles for, basically everything. YouTube, Instagram, you name it. I appreciate you stopping by the channel. Before I get into my rant of this episode, be sure to click the bell, like, share, subscribe, comment away, and share with any and all. I do appreciate your time and thank you in advance. Hello everybody and welcome back to the page. I'm Marcus Cash. This is the 13th edition of Bruce Prichard's Monday Night Raw. This episode is for September 7th, 2020, and it starts off with the hottest heel in the professional wrestling business, Randy Orton. He's coming out to the arena, cutting a promo, essentially establishing that if Drew McIntyre is not able to appear at the Clash of Champions due to the fractured jaw that he suffered from the 3 punt kicks Randy Orton gave him, that he should just be awarded the title. Now, of course, that's not what's going to happen. We're going to have that title match. And in fact, Drew McIntyre shows up here tonight, comes out to the arena in an ambulance, and he makes his way to the ring, and he Claymore kicks Randy Orton in the face, and Drew McIntyre's got himself a little bit of revenge from the previous weeks. Now, this is not the only time Randy Orton gets Claymore kicked in the head. Randy Orton does have a match against Keith Lee again later on in the night, and while he's fighting Keith Lee and he's about to win with an RKO, Drew McIntyre appears for a second time and Claymore kicks Randy Orton in the head. However, as Randy Orton is about to leave the arena for the night after being assaulted a couple times at the hands of the champion, Drew McIntyre makes his presence known again, and he Claymore kicks Randy Orton in the head again for a third time backstage, fully getting his comeuppance on Randy Orton for the 3 punt kicks that he received a couple weeks back. Very well written, and the badassery on Drew McIntyre is very refreshing and relieving, because it really seemed like they were going to have Randy Orton steamroll over him for the title. At least now it's got a little more interest to it. Now, the next topic of note here is the Hurt Business, and business is indeed booming. We start off with the premise of a 6-man tag, that being Shelton Benjamin, MVP, and Bobby Lashley against Cedric Alexander, Ricochet, and Apollo Crews. Cedric, though, is assaulted before the match by the Hurt Business, assaulted again because he has been victimized at the hands of the Hurt Business across the past several weeks, and it just so happens that Ricochet and Apollo Crews just can't seem to do anything to prevent it from happening, including tonight, which rears its ugly head because as Apollo Crews is in the ring, and Apollo Crews is the only one in the ring, Ricochet never makes a tag in. When Ricochet is about to get a tag in, Cedric Alexander rips Ricochet off of the apron, brutally assaults Ricochet around ringside, jumps in the ring, hits Apollo Crews with a lumbar check, and the Hurt Business pick up the victory, but more importantly, find themselves with a new member in Cedric Alexander. This is confirmed a little bit later on in the evening with another edition of the VIP Lounge.
Welcome back to the VIP Lounge,
where Cedric essentially admits to the fact that he joined the Hurt Business just to avoid further beatdowns from the Hurt Business.
If you don't have any friends.
Now, this will bring out the Viking Raiders, Ricochet, and Apollo Crews, and they're going to come down and crash the VIP Lounge, and we're going to transition into an 8-man tag. Kind of a shame that with all these moving parts, we bring back and then immediately forgot about Mustafa Ali. We brought Mustafa Ali over to Raw, had him interject himself into the storyline, and that lasted all of about 35 seconds. Now, in terms of the 8-man tag itself, it was alright. Nothing much of note except for the fact that Ivar went for the dive to the outside of the ring in order to take out the Hurt Business, and he injured himself around the shoulder area almost immediately. It wasn't from the barricade. It seemed like as soon as he made contact with the Hurt Business, something was just off. He fell to the floor, clutching at his shoulder, threw up the X sign himself for the ringside doctors, and he was just done for the rest of the match. They went into a spot where Cedric hit what was supposed to be a Michinoku driver on Ricochet, except he pretty much threw him instead of driving him. And despite Ricochet's kick out, because that wasn't the planned finish, they hit the mat for the 3 and rang the bell anyway, because they needed to end this match and attend to Ivar. Hopefully it's not too severe of an injury for Ivar, but if it is, even more hope to the fact that whenever he does come back, they forget that they were trying to make him funny and goofy, and him and Eric can go back to being actual violent, dangerous badasses that they're supposed to be. Now, speaking of tag teams, next topic here is the Vega Boys, Andrade and Angel Garza, of course with Zelina Vega, and they're going to have another match tonight against the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. If you recall, this match was scheduled for last week, but Retribution showed up and tore apart everybody not named Angel Garza, who of course left his partner behind to go run off with Demi Burnett. And as it turns out, there's still a lot of dissension between Andrade and Angel Garza, because Angel Garza leaves Andrade hanging again. He does start the match, but he tags himself out, jumps off the apron, and walks away backwards as he's watching the Street Profits hit Andrade with a series of moves, including the frog splash from the heavens from Montez Ford to pick up the win. Obviously, we're going to go into an Andrade versus Angel Garza at least match, maybe feud, but considering we had Billy Kay break up with Peyton Royce, Cedric Alexander turning his back on Ricochet and Apollo Crews, a couple other examples I can't think of off the top of my head right now, I don't really understand the need, the want, the desire to constantly break up teams, particularly the ones that work. I just don't get it. The Street Profits, though, they're in the ring, they're celebrating, they are the Raw Tag Team Champions, but they're greeted and then challenged by SmackDown's Tag Team Champions, Cesaro and Nakamura, who utilize the quarterly brand-to-brand invitational. So next week on Raw, we're going to have Champions versus Champions, Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins versus SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Cesaro and Nakamura. I'm a bit surprised that this match wasn't booked for Clash of Champions. I know that that's typically title matches at that pay-per-view, but it's also a lot of titles, so you'd have to imagine not everybody is getting a shot. I figured they would have done the Survivor Series thing with the tag titles, maybe even unify the tag titles and have those champions go brand to brand like they do with the women's tag team titles anyway, particularly since there's supposed to be a new design for the tag title belts that are just around somewhere. So a little thrown off that it's just thrown away next week, but I'm really hopeful that they don't make Cesaro and Nakamura look bad here, although the optics would indicate that they do make Cesaro and Nakamura look bad because this is the show on Monday night, so you have to make the Raw champions look stronger, but also they're very much behind the Street Profits, and Cesaro and Nakamura just cannot catch a break since being on the main roster. So I'm expecting to be very frustrated next week. Speaking of frustrations, next two topics. The 24/7 title. There was tomfoolery at a restaurant. That's all I'm going to go into about that. The title did not change hands. It was just a brief 2-minute thing that was horrible for everybody involved. Besides that, though, the Iconics, or what was the Iconics, still haven't quite accepted that yet, that they have broken them up. I want to believe that this is a bad dream. Anyway, so didn't I say that they were going to have Billie Kay job to Peyton Royce? Well, not only was I right, they've done it in a record time. This was not something thrown on the pre-show to Clash of Champions or even dragged out at least a week or two. They had Billie Kay and Peyton Royce going against each other tonight. Now, Peyton Royce, she's got new music, but she's just Peyton Royce. Pretty much the same outfit as well from her Iconics days. But they've branded Billie Kay as the femme fatale and gave her, I don't know what it was. I want to say like a skirt thing, but not really, that she wore from like her belly button section down, but like barely past her hips. I don't know what that was about, but as concerned as I was that they were going to job Billie Kay out and then have her disappear from television, the fact that they took the time and effort to even bother giving her a nickname has me a bit curious that they're actually going to do something with Billie Kay. Dare I say I might be excited? I'm not sure. I know Peyton Royce is going to get the big push, but I'm glad to think Billie Kay is not going to be left behind. I don't know. We'll see. Now, in terms of arguably the most important woman on the brand, the Raw Women's Champion Asuka, she's stuck in this storyline with Mickie James and Natalya and Lana, and I had a thought process that Asuka was going to have to defend her title against 2 or all 3 of these women in a multi-woman match, probably at Clash of Champions. While that's not completely off the table, she is defending her title against Mickie James next week. However, this week, she has a team with Mickie James against Lana and Natalya because WWE just loves doing the team up with the person you're going to defend the title against next week thing. I know AEW did it recently, but that is indeed a WWE staple. For the match, Mickie James is about to beat Lana because how hard is that really? Asuka ends up tagging herself into the match. Asuka lock on Lana. They get the pin. Asuka's showboating to Mickie James. She one-upped her. It was bad. It was bad. It's hard to make Asuka involved in something bad, and they find ways to do it. It's a little impressive. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty impressed. I don't know why they do it, but it's pretty impressive how they're able to do it. Now, the women that Asuka should have been defending the title against, the women's tag team champions now, Jaxler, as I and Simon from What Culture refer to them as, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. They're going to have each of them separately 2-on-1 handicap matches against the Riot Squad. Apparently, this was Nia Jax's idea to have the handicap match, and then they wanted to make it even and fair, so they made Shayna do it too. These matches are going to be quote-unquote back-to-back. First one is Shayna Baszler against the Riot Squad. Shayna's handling it pretty well. She's gonna go for that move that she does where she tries to break her opponent's arm. She's getting jeered from Nia, who's bored and has seen better offense from people. So she challenges Shayna to win the match with a Samoan drop, but Shayna gets rolled up because she's distracted by all the bickering with Nia Jax. Riot Squad picks up the win against Shayna Baszler. For the next match against Nia Jax, Riot Squad looked to be near another win, but then Retribution shows up. Retribution blackens out the arena and they cut a mission statement promo. And it was confusing because they gave Retribution like a Titantron logo, but they're not wrestlers, right? They're not people that are signed to the company. They're an outlaw group that are just causing mayhem and ruckus, but they have a Titantron logo. Things don't just really add up here. They did have a close-up on it though, and you can pretty clearly see the eyes of Mia Yim and the size of Dominik Dijakovic. Can't really care too much who the other people are. I barely care about these two that I mentioned, so couldn't really figure out who they were. But it was odd because that mission statement promo pretty much ended the other handicap match. When they went back to the ring after a commercial that happened first, the Riot Squad and Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler were just nowhere to be seen. They just disappeared. They saw the lights go out, they saw Retribution talking, and I guess they all collectively just took off. My only theory is that maybe they all went to the Raw Underground, because there's a lot of stuff happening in the Raw Underground lately. Aleister Black had a scheduled match with Kevin Owens. Aleister Black had to first beat up a jobber because everybody that has a scheduled match has to beat up a jobber first. And they did their best to kind of make Aleister Black and Kevin Owens look almost even. And I really like that. Aleister Black's supposed to be a badass. Kevin Owens supposed to be a prize fighter. The fact that they can go back and forth for a long period of time is pretty shocking to see and very much welcomed. The fight between Kevin Owens and Aleister Black seems to go through several segments because they were fighting through the first handicap match with the Riot Squad. They end up also fighting apparently through the second match with the Riot Squad. And it comes back to the Raw Underground and this one fight for a third time, where the match ends up off of the ring again, and this time Daba Kato gets himself involved and he lays out Kevin Owens with a huge spine buster, and he lays out Aleister Black with a choke slam. So these two, I guess, mid-card guys on Raw who could, would, should be main heavyweight title contenders, they had this feud going and they had this match set up, and it was used as a vehicle just to highlight this guy who can't really wrestle. Not really sure what we're doing here. I'd imagine that we're not going to do the reluctant partners thing with Aleister Black and Kevin Owens because they're doing that with the women's tag team champions. So I don't know what the hell the Daba Kato thing was about, but I didn't love it. But I guess I understand the need to not have Aleister Black or Kevin Owens defeat the other one just yet. I guess this kind of protects everybody involved. And they can surely indeed use some protecting. But someone who's overly protected right now is the Mysterio family, which is a thing now. It's not just Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, it's the whole family. Angie is there, Rey's wife. Aaliyah is there, Dominic's sister. and Dominic's supposed to have a street fight with Murphy. Dominic's gonna win, but Dominic's gonna win because his entire family helps him cheat and then beats on Murphy with kendo sticks. And even after the match where Murphy forfeits, they continue to assault Murphy with the kendo sticks. And I know Murphy's done some horrible things to Dominic in the past, but this felt beyond retribution, to use a pun on purpose. It felt more than just getting, their comeuppance back. It felt a little heelish. And I know that's not where they're going. I know it's outrageous to even suggest or allude to it, but it did feel very heelish because they essentially assaulted Buddy Murphy. All four of them assaulted Buddy Murphy. And it came off even worse than when Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins were assaulting Dominic Mysterio with the kendo sticks. So I think they overdid it quite a bit there. I am also a little biased towards Buddy Murphy because I think he deserves way more than he's being given on the show. But I don't know. Overall, decent enough show. I guess the highlight is obviously Cedric Alexander joining the Hurt Business. The lowlights, them breaking up Andrade and Angel Garza, and whatever the storyline is that they're supposed to be doing with Asuka. Another week where we're going to take a... let's see what comes up next week without any sort of over optimistic feelings or overly pessimistic feelings either. But I'd like to hear what you guys think. What you think of this episode. What do you think of these current storylines that are going on? Where do you think they're going with these storylines? Anything at all, leave a comment down below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. My battery is dying, so I'll catch you next time for Prichard's Raw.